have techniques to master linear time in shamanism, or we can experience time circularly. If he gets hit by lightning, don't open your eyes, because your fear is going to prevent the second lightning that is going to reanimate him. And everybody's like, what? And I could feel the fear. Was like, it was not an exorcism, but it was like heavy energy just pouring out of my pores in every direction, And when I say it lives within us, it's something that lives within us. It is not us.
Andres, we're here again, and we're going to talk about shamanic initiation today. The interesting thing about what Pachamama Sacred Paths does is that there are plenty of institutions that will offer medicine retreats and so forth, but you take things to such an incredibly high level and you help educate people. You help people take incredible steps in their lives. You help people develop themselves in a way that is sustaining, long-lasting, careful, and you take these spiritual principles and you make them scholastic. You make it experiential, and you do that with the shamanic initiation that has 3 different modules. And can you talk about what is a shamanic initiation and why would somebody want to do something like this in their lives?
Yeah, that's a great question. Thank you again for having me, first and foremost. And when it comes to shamanism, in shamanism, the way that I've experienced my life has been the embodied spirituality. At the beginning of a path, of any spiritual path, it is pretty beautiful with ideas and ideals about what life can be, the potentials of spirituality, or what we can experience. Meditation's great, yoga's great, sound healing, etc. But shamanism, the word shaman comes from a Siberian word. It comes from language from Siberia. It's Tuskegee or something like this. But the word means, it's actually spelled saman, which it means he or she who knows. A saman is a person that knows him or herself. It is understood that once you know yourself, which has been the decree for millennium, right? Know thyself. Once you know yourself, it is knowing everything. Once you know the true self within, then you truly know what is everything around yourself. Now, this could sound a little bit coincided for, a little bit of New Age spirituality or even psychology, because, we are taught to understand that everybody has a different truth, right? And that there is no such a thing as an absolute truth, right? But in shamanism, we understand the mechanics of the way life works in general. And so spirituality has a lot of do's and don'ts so that you can ascend, right? With the purpose of ascension. In shamanism, it is understanding the principles behind the construction of the cosmos itself, the laws of cause and effect, of course, but at the same time, some of the principles that created this possibility that you and I exist in, this time and space reality, this dimension and all dimensions, this universe in all multiverses. And so in shamanism, we don't only, go for spirituality. Spirituality is life itself. Everything's made of spirit. Absolutely everything. Physically speaking, everything's made of energy. And that energy, those electrons and protons, right, are holding a 99.999% empty space, which is inside of the atom. That empty space is the forces of electromagnetism, which is father and mother life, electricity and magnetism. Without getting too scientific with all of this, shamanism is understanding the characteristics of these universal laws that has absolutely everything in existence under its command. And, you know, once we start to go into shamanism, it's understanding ourselves multidimensionally, because you exist here in this shape, you with your glasses and your hair like right here, which I like because I used to have it longer.
Oh, thank you.
But yeah, and so and in the way that you're clothed right now, the way that you're dressed with your blue background, everything, all of those are shapes and forms that exist in this dimension, right? But you as a spirit, as a soul that you exist as, you are multidimensional. You also exist in the fourth dimension. You exist what in the Andean cosmology we called the underworld or the Pacha. You exist in the here and now, which is where we are interacting, which is the Kai Pacha. And then we exist also in the Hanak Pacha, which is the fifth dimension, is the realm of energy and ideals. And so understanding those is the beginning of it, the beginning of understanding that spirituality is not just living a beautiful life with, harmonious relationships in connection with the divine and all of that, but that we live and we exist as that, as those ideals of abundance, prosperity, love, intelligence, peace, etc. in multiple locations at once, not just vertically, but also horizontally. You exist, there's a future version of you in this moment that is existing right now. And you can experience this in sacred medicines. And then there's another aspect of you that it is in the past, that is going through all of the ups and downs that you went through in your life. And it is happening in this moment. In this moment, that is existing also. And so we come to understand that time and space, which is what we call the Pacha, and Mama is Pachamama, is the mother of that time and space. Now, space, we can experience it linearly, and we have techniques to master linear time in shamanism. And then, or we can experience time circularly, and we have techniques to master circular time. And then there's times that it can be experienced as a spiral. And we have a lot of processes within shamanism to master spiral time. In shamanism, we understand that you are not just an idea, that you're composed of a much broader system of energies. What you interpret of this moment as I am speaking, when you're picking up the subtle cues of my facial expressions, right? It comes, all of that interpretation that you are, that is happening within you in this moment right now, it comes most of it from your experience and maybe your training in psychology, but at the same time, it comes from how does it feel based on all of my ancestors that have dealt with similar personalities like you, Andres. This is what is happening within you, right? And it happens within me too. And it happens within every single one of us. So what are those systems of filters? There's systems, and there's a broad system of filtration that we call ancestry, which is not just in the ethers, it is in your DNA, right? 90% of your DNA, which science has said that is garbage, that is useless information, it is not. It is actual patterns from our ancestors. And this is well understood in shamanism. And so you're going, for example, you're going through module 2. Module 1, it is the awakening. Module 2 is getting deeper under the waters. At the beginning, when you're a child, a toddler, and they put you in the water, they teach you how to, paddle like a doggy, right? It's just like, and then you stay up and you're on the surface right there, right? And then with time, yes, as you start to reach, then you have a little bit more confidence. You're not afraid of the water, and then you can put your head down and you start to look, and that's maybe taking ayahuasca or something, right? And then module 2 is actually starting to learn how to swim and hold your breath under the water, understanding the depths, which is you. These depths is nothing except what you are. And so in module 1, the way that at Pachamama we have structured the shamanic initiations, which is 5 years of studies, is we go from Pacha to Runa. In the Andes, we have this ladder of consciousness. And this ladder of consciousness is called the Kapachnan, which is the path of ascension, the great path, the righteous path, the path for he or she who is to become great. And so this ladder has 9 steps. These 9 steps starts with level 0. Level 0 is called Pacha. The first level, the first step is called Runa. And so going from Pacha to Runa is level 1. And this is awakening to how is it that we become affected by politics, by science, by religion, by economy, by the victim, by the savior, by the executioner, by Atipakui Pachakutin, which is the collective cycle of world destruction, that it is a collective program, and so on and so forth. So not just the negatives, we learn about how these negatives live within us, how the savior, which is a negative archetype, lives within us, or the victim, right, lives within us. And when I say it lives within us, it's something that lives within us. It is not us. The savior is something that lives within us, is not us. And the executioner just the same, and all of the other polarity contrasting points of consciousness, which is still consciousness, is still part of the whole, all of those negative things. And in module 1, going from Pacha to Runa, which is the first year, what you just finished, it is going from becoming, is the awakening of how is it that I carry some victimhood still. How do I deal with these emotions that feel so logical? Of course I am going to be hurt, and they deserve to be maybe not reviled, but they deserve justice, right, for what they've done to me. Because, for example, my ex-wife, took a lot of money, and in a business and friendships and my reputation and blah blah. And then the victim could say, she deserves to be stoned, or some biblical some biblical equivalent. But then in shamanic initiation, we're like, stop that. We have self-control to stop the conflict. It does not mean repress the feelings. We never speak about suppressing the hurt or suppressing the feeling raw or suppressing the reality that it is that somebody's taking our resources that we work for, right? None of that. But what it is this ends with me. Why do we want to take that level of responsibility? Because it is part of the principle of consciousness from Andean cosmology, Christ consciousness. It doesn't matter which cosmology you look at, you are the center of your own universe. You are. Not Jesus, not Buddha, not Krishna, not any shamans. You, Jeremy, me, Andres. In my own universe, I am the center of my universe. And in the center of this universe, I am the one putting everything in motion around me, meaning I am the point of attraction, hence the law of attraction. You're attracting everything, whether you want it or not, you're attracting it into your life. So the better question is not, how am I going to have her reputation smeared, telling everybody that she robbed me or blah, 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 is how am I going to take responsibility for the fact that I attracted this person into my life? What did I need to learn? And then I look inward and it's like, oof, you have a ton of abandonment issues. You have a ton of humiliation issues, rejection issues, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then it becomes I need to grow. It is a call for growth. Every time that we have pain in our life, pain is a precursor for spiritual growth. And so understanding this first principle, then we start to take responsibility and we reach the level of Runa. And that's the first module. Module 1 is learning to take responsibility. And we have a ton of tools. We have Samin Chakwi, Saiwa Chakwi, all of the Andean healing arts. We have breath work. We have IPOC. We have a ton of rituals, despachos. We learned to counteract all of the difficult negative forces of the victim, savior, and executioner with the warrior, with the merchant, knowing how to stand in my own power in the face of all that is negative, all that is painful and sorrowful, and I can just breathe it in and I am here. The warrior, the merchant, how do I negotiate with all of these things? Both in the outside and within myself. And so this is an intelligence aspect that we establish in module 1 to be able to negotiate with what is taking place. If something's out of balance, how do I negotiate with that? Right? Because yes, I'm going to take responsibility, but I'm not going to perpetuate that someone keeps abusing me. Right? I also have my own self-love and care for myself. I'm not going to let you abuse me or anybody else abuse me. So if I did something wrong, I take responsibility, but then let's actually repair the course of action. And then the priest is glimpsing how can I bridge high ideal the Hanak Pacha, which is a multi-dimensional aspect of myself, and I have access to that. So then how can I bring that heaven, that fifth dimension Andres, into this reality? And so how can I make this evolve? How can I evolve everything that I'm doing? And then the magician is the boldness, is the osadía, that it just plays with life, plays with everything, right? And so on top of that, on module 1, we have 6 Andean codes and 2 subcodes. We have Causai, which is existence, recognizing myself as existence. Anya, which is truth, recognizing that my truth grounds me in the center of my own universe. Munai, which is a superpower, according to the Huascar tradition, is a human superpower, which is manifestation, love, wish, and power. And we learn Unanchai Munai to learn how to discern from egoic desires for manifestation or calls of the heart, right? Inspired action, inspired love, inspired intelligence that is pushing us to our life's purpose. And then from there is Yankai, Yachai, and Aini. And so with these 6 Andean codes, and then we have Kuya, which is the embodied passion of the priest or priestess, and then we have Yachai, and Yachai is gratitude. And so we get to work with a lot of these positive principles and embody, a lot of these energies to be able to become the contrasting force in our own lives for all of the negatives that we carry, that are collective, that are ancestral, that are past lives. So in everything that you bring from your past lives, everything that you inherited from your family, right? Your parents, and in every 6-7 generations before that, 256 influences that you carry here right now in your DNA as little impulses, twitches and turds that you feel once in a while, that they apparently don't have any meaning. They do. It's an expression of those energies from before. And all of that, which is unconscious to us, right? That we sometimes can, try to decipher, but we do a very poor job at the beginning of the spiritual path. A lot of misinterpretation of what things mean because we're so influenced by all of these negative things, the victim, etc. The module 1 is to learn to take responsibility for everything that is dense. And so we have a pretty simple compass. Does it feel heart expanding? Then it's pushing you into hucha. There's fear, right? It's called the sphinxes. That's your test. You pass that, and then you will start to experience a deeper sense of what you are, a deeper sense of your own essence. Or is it contracting your heart? If it's contracting your heart, then it's taking you deeper into hucha, repeating cycles, more chaos, developing aspects of, destruction, etc. And so module 1, sometimes we've had sessions. We have, like, for example, 2 years ago, I believe, we had a group that started with like about 65 people and only 15 finished. This one, it was at the beginning, I think it was like 38 and only 11 finished. So it's a difficult path. It's not for everyone, because here we actually take responsibility for our shadow. And we find, in not being able to finish the rituals, we find that shadow sometimes doesn't let us out, and we fall into our own traps of despair, of I don't think I deserve it, I don't think I can do it, and then we stop doing the work that heals us, right? We don't deserve to be healed because we carry so much, and so these are the sometimes difficult things that stop people in the tracks as they're starting to embody spirituality. And we do everything. We do formation to support everyone. We do support and we do assistance. We assist people. We support them. We do the formation process. And so these 3 different aspects of help that we provide to you and everybody that comes in, it's sometimes is enough for people, and sometimes people don't really, it's not the right time. And we've had people that have taken module 1, they finished it 4 times, and every time that they finish it is like, I need to go deeper. And that's also a trap sometimes, because it's like I'm kind of like stuck in the basics, stuck in a loop, and I don't know how to get out of this, right? And some people don't even finish, but the ones that finish sometimes want to stay there. So I commend you for keeping moving forward, brother. Now, once you get to module 1, now it's time to keep on going to the depths of your own waters. And this is understanding family programs, ancestry. This is understanding medicine, altered states of consciousness, understanding the mastery of paradigms. This is understanding how to use the elements through your voice, how to influence the 4 elements of water, air, earth, and fire, how to influence those vibrations, which is nature itself, through your own Icarus, through your own singing, right? How to generate Wilka, how to generate very powerful energies. And again, it's another 9 months of deeper resources that you have now to resolve everything that once was chaos at the surface. When you think about 3-4 years ago, whatever issues you were having with the resources that you're going to have from module 2, those little issues are going to be piece of cake. You look back and it's like, whoop, just by thinking and feeling and doing an adjustment of your own energy, you immediately transmute. There's all sorts of different things that you can do, right? But we travel a lot in time and space now. In module 2, we go into when you were inside of your mom's womb, and we do an intrauterine reprogramming. We go to past lives to resolve different blockages that might be holding you back in this lifetime. We go and heal different impulses from, say 5, 6, 7 generations ago of ancestors, great grandfather from my mother's side, for example, because he was a thief. And then like all of a sudden I have like this, inexplicable sense of greed, and I want to get more and get more. And maybe I don't steal, but there's like an impulse that I don't recognize that makes me want to justify taking something that it is not well earned or not mine. And so those little things, we fix them. When I say we fix them, is a very beautiful, precious, divine, reverent, devotional process, right? I don't want to trivialize any of this. This is the real deal when it comes to healing. And we go to those specific ancestors to understand their emotions, because there's obviously a rejection, subconscious rejection to thieving, but maybe he was on the verge of dying when he was, stealing. And so we go to understand, to be able to liberate these impulses that live within us, right? Because of all our DNA. And so we go very, very deep to resolve it is part of shamanism, shamanic wisdom, that if you reconcile all of your ancestors, you actually reach a state of enlightenment, which is a kura hakuyek. It's a lot of work. It's 256 ancestors, right? But with each of those experiences, you have 256 more refined ways of flowing, right? You have 256 ways of relating to life in harmony, So it's 256 lessons you can think about like that. And it's profound beyond means. What this gives ways to, for example, for me, after I started doing this work, I noticed that Mother Ayahuasca was very harmonious with me. I could take 3-4 cups of deep syrup and honey, and I can still stand up in humility and beat the drum and be a guide and sit down and just meditate. But not at the beginning of the path. It was like, like it was exorcism after exorcism. It was not an exorcism, but it was like heavy energy just pouring out of my pores in every direction, and then after you start doing this work, it's like, I feel very good with myself. Beyond forgiveness for our parents and our progeny is just gratefulness, is a reverence that starts to blossom within. And the same thing with Bufo and with Niños. The one that I noticed the most was with Niños, with psilocybin. It's just, it starts to be a very harmonious way of knowing that you are, even if you're, pulled apart in a million directions, by the medicine, your ego is dissolved into the space of existence. And that isness that you are, that I am consciousness that remains. The same thing with San Pedro, with Bufo, with all of the nature medicines. They start to become part of your own nature. And this is what the Hampek is. So from module 1 is from Pacha to Runa. Module 2 is from Runa to Hampek. The Hampek is a priest of nature, is a priest of Mother Earth, priest or priestess of Mother Earth. And so those are the two first. And then the next one is 3 years, is going from Hampek to Pampa Misayok. And the Pampa Misayok is 3 words, Pampa Misayok. Yok means carrier, is someone that carries. Misa is, I don't know if you can see it, Misa is that bundle of clothes behind, and it is made of 3 cloth, is that 3 pieces of cloth, and it represents your personal universe. A priest in the Andes carries a Misa, and it's a Misayok. And anybody that is a Misayok basically has the whole cosmos with everything that the cosmos has: matter, antimatter, mother energies, positive and negative, and then quadrants of high energy, low energy, known and unknown, right? And then at the center is you. And so you have the quadrants, you have the duality mastana, and then you have the big mastana, the main one, which is woven for 5 to 8 months by the Quero people. And this is a representation of your cosmos. So this is a tool to make magic. It's a tool to reorganize your own universe. So it is understood that this is a representation of your own universe, of yourself, right? And you put things in there and things start to change in your cosmos, in your reality. And so the Pampa is he or she who knows how to level all of the fields. Pampa refers to land, but flattening the land. So say, for example, you and I, we have an issue, we have a problem. And in this problem that we have, I take away from you. So I owe you something, right? So I owe you, I am indebted with you. You are here and I am here because I took something from you, right? So I am in debt, right? I owe you. So the Pampa Misayok uses the Misa to flatten that difference of space in between us, and it brings us back here, right? And it does it by most means, is physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, energetic, you name it, in all fields. All fields are flattened. Now, if it's retribution needed, if I need to compensate for that which I take, of course, it's part of the healing process, right? And so that's what a Pampa Misayok is the making use of all resources available, of the mind, the resources of emotions, a lot of energy, and resources, every resource available to be able to harmonize the fields in between. You see right now, you see the news, right? And you see everything that is happening in politics. We're 2026 right now, February of 2026. And you see everything that is taking place in the economy, in the politics, even religion right now with, I think the Dalai Lama was in the Epstein files.
There's no. Oh no.
I don't believe that was the case. Like many other people that were in the Epstein files had nothing to do with those operations. I truly in my heart want to believe that. But you see all of the chaos that is happening right now and how distorted it's becoming. And it's just, and all of it is because the fields are uneven, right? His wars, there's like the recriminations and just attacks from one group to another that just makes this incoherence of communication, and people are no longer brothers or sisters. And so the Pampa Misayok flattens the all of the fields to be able to communicate again. And that is a process of 3 years because we learn to channel the Apus. Now that you have a groundedness, now that you're centered in yourself, in your own no kankani, your own I am consciousness, and then you've also explored the depths of yourself, then we can start to come outside to be able to interact with wisdom, with higher wisdom, which is the Apus. The Apus are the mountains, which is the intelligence of Mother Earth. All of the greatest mountains, like, for example, Denali, Mount Logan, Mount Shasta, Popocatépetl, the volcano right here, Iztaccíhuatl, then it's Ausangate, Illimani, and Aconcagua. These are the ones in America that are the root chakra of Mother Earth right now. But before 2012, it was the Himalayas, Kilimanjaro, K2, Everest. There was a lot of different Apus that are the intelligence of the planet. And these are huge energetic points. There's always UFO seen. There's big, big vortexes of energy all around it. And it is the intelligence that connects the planet to the intelligence of the cosmos, to our central sun, etc., etc. These are big antennas from our Mother Earth that she communicates with, and it's a mesh of intelligence surrounding all of the planet. So we connect to that now. But now learning to channel, like, for example, Adriana is going through this module 3, and she's learning how to channel the Apus, right? How to allow, and we become an empty vessel to allow the channel speak through us. Yes. And this is in preparation for the next step. The next step is Alto Misayog, Pampa Misayog to Alto Misayog. And these are initiations where, for example, our teacher from our lineage, Maria Pasa Machaca, she got struck by lightning twice, right? And this is the way that nature has chosen her to become an Alto Misayog. This is the way that nature chooses you, not only through that. Sometimes there comes a condor and lands in front of you. And sometimes there's double rainbows, and all sorts of natural
double rainbows in the condor rather than the lightning.
That's what I chose to. That's what I chose to. And, when it was my initiation in the Andes, we were in front of Apu Ausangate, and Nicolas, our teacher from the Andes, he's like, "Okay, Andres, you want to be an Alto Misayog?" I'm like, "I am here for that." And it's like, "Okay, call." And it was a sunny day. It was 2 rainbows. It was the sun and 2 rainbows, circular rainbows around the sun. Perfect circles of rainbows around the sun. So it was a perfect omen. So he's like, "Okay, everything's saying that you're going to be. So, but you have to call the weather." And I'm like, "What do you mean?" It's like, you need to make it rain. And so I'm like, "Okay," and because we've had I've worked with medicine for so long. I've been given the opportunity, inspired by nature itself, to, influence a little bit, right? Especially inside of medicine is not a great fit. Don't think that of me as anything supernatural. Anybody can do this. So, but I know the experience. I've had the experience, but I've never done it sober. So then I put my heart in it, and another friend of mine who's also an Alto Misayog, Adrian, he stood up with me, and he was getting initiated also. And so it's me and him and Romulo, and we start to call the wind. Within about 20 minutes, it was all cloudy and it was all dark. And, I opened up my eyes because I started feeling the wind and I started feeling cold. And I'm like, "Oh, it's like no more sun." Okay. And so I went back in, and now Nico said, like, "Speak to the mountain so that he can bring the lightning." And so I started chanting and asking, Apu Ausangate to make the lightning, right? But I was afraid of bringing the lightning because I knew that it was what Nico was expecting, is for the lightning to hit me. And he told everybody, "If he gets hit by lightning, don't open your eyes, because your fear is going to prevent the second lightning that is going to reanimate him." And everybody's like, "What?" And I could feel the fear. It was like thick fear in the environment. It was like about 12 of us. And I'm like, "If this is what you want of me, I'm okay with it. But no, please know that I don't want it." And I'm really afraid. And my humanity is, the fear is real, man. When you're gonna get hit by lightning, are you serious? And so that's what was going on in my mind. And there was a point where I said, like, I'm here, and I started just like chanting, and then lightning, Jeremy, about 15 feet away. And then, like, on the left side and in front and like all around. And every time that it hit, there's like this humongous like amounts of like fear and energy at the same time, just like, I couldn't even speak. And then again, and then Nick was like, very good, keep on going, and it's like, and it got to the point where I'm like, I think this was enough for me. I think that this was enough sign that, it is listening, to my prayers, and it is also listening to my fear. And I take that as a sign, and, there was talk about how they needed to open up to different ways of initiating people, not just by lightning. And so there was, I didn't see it, but Nicolas and his mom, they saw a jaguar on the mountain, right? There's a jaguar spirit kind of like observing. So they took that as an omen to be able to channel the Apu, and then we received the Altomisiac initiation. It was one of the most intense experiences of my life. When I received that, immediately after receiving that initiation, immediately after, my whole world was turned upside down. My whole world was, I was not able to see my children for 2 years. There was like a big restructuring. This doesn't mean that that has to happen to everyone. It was just me because I asked for it with a little bit of work to be done, right? So I was, in other words, I learned to, that was a teaching for me to learn to how to slow down a little bit, right? Because I came in with such enthusiasm and I wanted to be the Alto Misayog and all of this, and I got it, but I didn't know what it meant, right? And so once I received it, I learned to modulate those very intense impulses of youthful, heat, fire that wants to just, eat the world, and consciousness and ascend in joy and like all of the blissfulness. And so, I got a really amazing, beautiful lesson that says like, a little bit at a time, take it easy, and this has been, after all of this, then Pachamama really started, with everything that we do. It was like the before and after for Pachamama. After all of these lessons, it was, now taking the path with not just seriously. We've always been devotional. I've always been serious and reverent and devotional and prayed a lot. But after this, there's a restructuring of how the point of attraction relates to spirituality even. And so learning to be more mature spiritually speaking has been one of the gifts of this path. And now, after the confirmation, many years after the initiation, I received the confirmation, and the confirmation was a blossoming of different visions and, understanding what comes in the future. The path gives you glimpses of what is the collective future for humanity. And this is not just a certainty of the heart, because you know that everything that is happening is an evolution towards that. So you don't get lost in all of the fear, like, oh, there's crashing the markets and the gold, and like none of that is like, we know where we're going. We know where humanity is headed to, and it's a beautiful place. So, and so knowing this, getting into the whole path, right, is life itself. Being able to is a gift to humanity, and this is why we teach it. This is why we do what we do.
Well, this is something that I really want the listener to understand, because what you just talked about was profound. There was a lot of terminology. There's just a lot in there, because it is a major discipline. Okay. It's a major commitment in your life to do this.
Definitely.
The thing is that what you do is you take it step by step by step. There's a syllabus.
We have to.
You know what to bring to the next class. There are people in the class that are just as going along with this and going and learning at the same level that you are. There's a WhatsApp group. We all share things in the WhatsApp group about what we're doing and pictures of the things that we're up to. There's support all the way along the way. Yeah. There's been times when I've fallen behind, and you have taken time to make sure that I'm catching up. There's so much support in doing this. It's not like you start this and it's so far over your head, and there's so many terms that you have to learn along the way. These terms are used so much.
Yeah.
You learn what they are. You understand along the way how to get to the next level. There is support. It
Yes.
is incremental. These
Yes.
things, you've got 3 different modules to get there. And yeah, it is. It's a lot of work, but you're doing it week by week by week, and it becomes something that is a totally doable thing. And
Yes.
what we're going to do is we're going to put the link for the Shamanic Initiation Module 1 in the
Thank you.
description of this episode, and so that you can go and check it out. I know that you do. Don't you do like consultations so that people can ask about this stuff?
Definitely. No, we do intro sessions. So the next module 1, the module 2 just started. The next module 1 starts in April, I think April 10 or 14. And before that, all next month on March, we're going to have at least 2 every other weekend. We're going to have 2 intro sessions with people that have expressed interest. And so they're going to come in and we're going to explain the whole thing, because people get afraid of this, right? There's like lightnings. Is like, no. It's a long time before you have to consider any of that. And you can choose different. You don't have to choose a lightning, right? I didn't choose a lightning. And so, yeah, there's a lot to understand about the difference of a spiritual life, a conceptual spiritual life, and an embodied spiritual life, which is shamanism. And so we explain everything that is module 1, and people sometimes, come and we say like, take the first week or even 2 weeks if you want, 2 to 4 classes for you to be able to see if you like it, if you like the vocabulary, if you like the rhythm, if you understand the concepts, if it's vibrating, if it's resonating with you. And if it is, then maybe there's an ancestral contract, a soul contract, that this could be a way for your own awakening and path towards enlightenment, right? It definitely has been for me. I've done 10 years of Hinduism and just as long of Buddhism and, Zen Buddhism and Advaita Vedanta, and I've read a few of the Gitas, and I have read the Rig Veda and studied a lot, multiple silence courses. I cannot say that I am the most experienced yogi or Hindu practicer, but I've been around the corner enough to know the difference in between different cosmologies, and the only one that felt like was actually transforming the subconscious and my energy and embodying has been Andean cosmology. This does not dismisses any of the other ones. It actually complements, right? The other ones are elation. This one is embodiment. And so it's if you're interested in joining one of these sessions, by all means, click please on the link that Jeremy is going to put down there, and we can see more of each other.
Andres, this is what I love about you, is that you're so supportive along the way in all of this. The humility in the way that you share pieces of your own life to make the points in these courses that you teach, the way that you so freely give of your time, of your energy, and the way that these courses are so specifically geared towards learning incrementally, and so that you're making something that is by no means a straight line. You make a straight line out of it as best you can. You make things linear. You make unlinear things very linear. And so in doing that, you place it into an I can do that parameter for people. And so people can do this, and it's something that it's a long walk, okay? But it's something that you can absolutely do. So thank you so much for coming on and talking about the initiation process in all of this, because it's such a rewarding and enriching thing that has enriched my own life and where I'm going.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much for your words. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to the Mindful Mutiny podcast. And remember, in a lifetime, there's more decisions than anybody can count. Living the highest form of yourself is the most rewarding thing that you can do. Make incredible, positive, risky, and bold decisions to be the highest version of you. Now go be something great.